Sawadika. Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. A while back I posted a tutorial on how to make sticky rice using a traditional bamboo steamer, which I still stand by as the best way to make sticky rice because it yields the best result and it also infuses a nice bamboo aroma into the rice. However, that method does require a bit of an advanced planning because the rice needs to soak for at least 4 hours, so it becomes a problem when I suddenly want sticky rice. So I've been experimenting with a couple of different ways I can make sticky rice without the need to soak it, and I've come up with 2 good methods that I'm going to share with you today. The first method I call the steam the bowl method, and the second method is the rice cooker method. So let's go take a look at them. So first you want to start out by rinsing the rice a few times. I've got here a cup and a half of white glutinous rice. Make sure it's from Thailand because there are a few different types. And you just want to rinse it well with cold water a few times. And this will wash away the excess starch that will prevent the rice from being gummy when it's done. And the first rinse will be, the water will be very cloudy. And then progressively, the second and the third rinses, the water will become clearer and clearer. So what you're looking for is for the water to be clear enough that you can actually see the rice through the water. 3 to 4 times is usually good enough. On your final rinse, you want to make sure you drain off the water really well. I like to use the back of a strainer and just, oh, there's a little spout there. Make sure all the water is gone because sticky rice is very sensitive to mushing. So if you have too much residual water during the washing, it will throw off your water to rice ratio, and sticky rice is really not very forgiving. And then we're just going to transfer it into our heat-proof bowl. Now this is a heat-proof bowl that we're going to cook the rice in. And I like to use a flat bottom bowl like this one, and you'll see why in a second. And then to this, I'm going to add my water. The ratio is 1 part water, 2/3 rice. So with 1.5 cup of rice, I'm using 1 cup of water here. And sticky rice takes a lot less water than does regular white rice, or always less water than rice. And also, different kinds of rices will take different amounts of water. There's something called old crop rice and new crop rice. And old crop rice has been dried out for a longer period of time. It'll take a little bit more water when you cook it. And you don't always know based on your packaging what kind of rice you have. So you may need a little bit more, a little bit less than me. But I think starting with 2/3 is a good ratio. So basically, we're going to take this bowl and steam it. And if you have a steamer, great, use it. If you don't have a steamer, then all you need is a big pot with a lid that the bowl will fit in. And then you can use one of these steamer racks that you can get from an Asian grocery store for like $1.50 and then set it in the pot. Or if you can't find this, what you can do is you can make a donut foil. A foil donut like this, which will prop up the bowl. And I learned this trick during culinary school to prop up a roast chicken actually. So what you need is just about 4 pieces of foil. You may need less if it's a heavy duty one. About 16 inches long. And then you're just gonna scrunch it down. And you just have to make sure that your bowl sits on it okay. You may need to adjust it a couple of times, and that's your makeshift steamer rack, and just put it in there. So in here, I've got about a little less than 1 inch of water. You don't need a whole lot. And I'm gonna put my setup in here, and then bring this water to a boil. So put the bowl into the pot after the water's come to a full boil. I like to turn the heat off while I do this so I don't steam burn my hand. And then if you don't have one of these tongs, make sure you use an oven mitt when you go in so you don't burn your hand. And then we're gonna let this steam for 25 minutes for 1.5 cup of rice that I have here. If you have more rice, you may need a little bit more. So after about 20 and 25 minutes, it should be more or less done at this point, but I've turned it off, but I'm just gonna let it sit in there for another 10 minutes or so. This will let the steam settle, and it would also allow any residual moisture in there to be fully absorbed into the rice, and the rice will be more nicely cooked. This method works because the heating is gentle. Now, when you steam the bowl, the water inside the bowl never actually boils, but it's hot enough that it gradually heats and cooks the rice, so the rice is cooked through while still maintaining that chewy texture. If you take the bowl and transfer all the content into a pot and you cook that directly on a stove, what will happen is the outside will start to mush before the inside cooks through. Now, unlike white rice, which can withstand boiling water, sticky rice is very sensitive to boiling water and it'll mush if you do that. So the rice cooker method is pretty darn simple. You just cook the rice in the rice cooker, but the same tricks still apply. You want to make sure you rinse the rice a few times. And you still want to make sure on your final rinse, you rinse it you drain it really well. And then we're going to use the same ratio of water, 1 part rice, 2/3 water. So I've got 1 cup here. I'm going to add 2/3 cup of water into it, and it should come up above the rice just a little bit. And then you just let it go. Now, some rice cookers are better at this than others. The good ones are basically those that have more gentle heating and doesn't vigorously boil the water for the same reason that the steam the bowl method works. Now, this little one, only 300 watts, works great. Some fancy rice cookers actually have a special program for sticky rice, and that program basically uses less power. So if you have a big, powerful rice cookers, it may not work as well, and it may overcook the outside of your rice a little bit, so you just have to try it out and see if it works for you. So the rice cooker has already stopped, but don't go in just yet. Let it sit for another 10 minutes. What happens is the rice cooker stops when there's no more liquid at the bottom, and it senses a sudden temperature rise from the pot, and then it stops. But there's still residual moisture that's still in the rice. So this rest time of 10 minutes allow that moisture to be fully absorbed into the rice, and you get rice that's more fully cooked and not so wet. And this applies as well for when you cook white rice in a rice cooker. Always let it sit for like 10 minutes or so before you go in. So here's our 2 different sticky rices that we cooked from the 2 different methods. If you ask me which one I prefer, I would say the steam the bowl method, because with the rice cooker method, there's always a layer of crispy rice at the bottom. And it might not happen depending on which rice cooker you have, but I find this is much more reliable. And as I said, I think the traditional pre-soak and steaming method is still the best way. And if you haven't seen that, you can click this link for that original sticky rice tutorial. And if you have another method that you use, I know some people can do it in a microwave. I haven't tried that one out yet. You can please share it with us on our Facebook, and I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal.